Well, it's a new year, and that means something, probably. What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and if you hadn't noticed, it is like 2025 now, which is pretty interesting. Hope you guys had a good Christmas and good New Year and all that stuff. I did, and it doesn't feel that different, yet from 2024, but I guess it is. I mean, I'm already I'm not even having the thing of writing the old year. I've got writing 2025 down already, so it doesn't feel as much of a huge difference. But since it is a new year, why not go ahead and do? I did this for last year, and I'm gonna do it again this year because let's just do that because it's an easy episode to make, honestly. But yes, we are going to do the best and worst of 2024 media stuff wise. First, before that though, quick geeking out stuff update from me. By the way, when I do these, they're mostly for myself because I'm geeking out hard about something and I don't have anybody to talk to about it. So if these bore you, sorry, but they're very therapeutic for me. Anyway, I'm this close to beating Final Fantasy 15, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it because it got so randomly hard. All of the bosses before this were just so easy, and now it's I'm doing this much damage with every hit, and every hit they do kills me instantly. But it's okay because everything's fine, and I have to beat it because I have to know what happens to the Chocobros. But it's gonna be good. Also, this game is amazing. I don't know if I've said that in other episodes yet. It's so good, and I keep seeing people saying that it sucked online. I'm like, are you comparing it to Final Fantasy VII? Because you can't do that. But anyway, it's incredible, and Prompto is my favorite test tube skater boy I've ever seen. But so there's that. Speaking of Prompto, actually, I am also really geeking out pretty hard, surprisingly hard, about I'm into voice actors and knowing who voice actors are now. And because video game voice actors are really good, so I was looking at the cast for Final Fantasy 15, and I saw the guy who plays the guy who voices Prompto is named Robbie Daymond, and I saw that he also had a Spider-Man series where he voiced Spider-Man, and it was on Disney Plus, and I started watching that, and I'm just geeking out so hard because he's, first of all, he's great as Spider-Man, but then there's also there's another guy from Fire Emblem, and there's the Sam from Danny Phantom is Black Cat, I think, and Lucina from another Fire Emblem game is Gwen Stacy, and Wally from Young Justice is some rich dude that I don't know about. And there's a dude from a sitcom that my parents watch who voices Uncle Ben, and I am completely geeking out about every single voice in that show. It's pretty great. Also, the show is good. I mean, I guess, honestly, it doesn't matter too much anymore because I'm, so geeked out about all the voices that I know. But it is actually a decent show. I don't know how to differentiate it from the other Spider-Man series, but it started in 2017, I think, so you should watch it. But anyway, that aside, let's get into the best and worst of the past year that is now dead and gone. Let's just go ahead and start out with the best and worst movie of 2024. So I went ahead. Last year I did give Barbie the worst movie, and I hadn't seen it before. So this year I wanted to be a little bit more fair, give the worst movie to a movie that I actually watched. So these are the best and worst movies that I've actually watched. Otherwise, the worst would probably be Madam Web or something, but didn't watch that. Probably not going to. So this was a good, movies were kind of killing it this year, honestly. People were worried, but there were so many good movies this year, actually. I had a really, really, really hard time choosing. There was the Mickey horror movie was released this year. I didn't know that. I didn't notice that before. I mean, you had there's so many, so many. I've reviewed all the ones that I watched. Most of them this year I've reviewed. I've got a Sonic 3 review coming up. I guess that counts as last year, doesn't it? Yeah, we did. Yeah, it definitely does. That was incredible. Definitely gonna do that with Samuel. You had If coming out, which was incredible. Deadpool Wolverine, which I've heard was incredible. Didn't get to see it. Probably won't get to see it. That Unsung. There was a movie about the guys from the CCM group for King and Country. It's a movie called Unsung Hero. It's actually really good. Despicable Me 4, which was pretty decent. Transformers 1, which I just watched, which was really, really good. Even Millie Bobby Brown's little Netflix movie, Damsel, was awesome. Apparently that was this year. And it was close to the beginning, so I forgot about it, but that was good too. The Wild Robot was awesome. I mean, just there was another Netflix movie called The Union that was pretty great. Jerry Seinfeld's Pop Tart movie Unfrosted was great. Um, like they were really bad in 1,000 this year. Honestly, I can see why people were worried, but like they really came back strong this year a lot. I'm not saying it was all great, but you know, so but like out of all those, the one that was just for me personally that just like completely hit different is the main reason. And I would watch it 1,000 times, and it just doesn't like it. It it's like scarily close to home for me in so many ways. So I went ahead and gave the best movie of 2024 to Inside Out 2. Yes, indeed, a sequel. But like yeah, this movie was amazing. I don't know if I've said this before, I don't even know how I could do a full review on it because like my thoughts are just like it's so hard to articulate because I'm just like it was incredible and intensely and kind of worryingly relatable to me. Just like I got an anxiety like stuffed animal thing for Christmas, and it's my like I love it. Um, and that movie was just incredible. It handled the concept I think just as well as Inside Out 1 did, and just like did it better and added new, better, more things. Um, and just anxiety and freaking Lance slash Blade. That was not fair, Disney. And the incredible cast and just everything about this movie I absolutely loved, and I could watch it 1,000 times and never get tired. My whole family says Inside Out 1's better. That's fine, but like this was my movie. This movie was made for me, honestly. So best movie of the year, Inside Out 2. All right, the worst movie of the year. Now, I did do a full review. Well, yeah, a full review of this one on the pod, and I didn't say it was a terrible movie, but out of the ones I watched, I think this one was the worst out of those. I did not hate this movie. I don't think it's a really bad movie, but just in the scope of things, I would have to say the worst movie of 2024 that I watched was Descendants: The Rise of Red. So, like, there were a lot of good things about this movie, but just like compared to all of the like ginormous amazing hits, it just doesn't hold up. There's problems with it. It's very much a Disney Channel movie, which is hard to stand up against more not Disney Channel movies. Uh, and it had some really great stuff, but ultimately cannot hold up. And I know it made like hardcore Descendants fans angry, which I am not. So I guess maybe I don't get it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty okay. But pretty okay doesn't cut it when you're up against all the great movies that came out this year. So yeah, that's the best and worst movie. I would also like to give a shout out to the most underrated movie of the year, which I am going to say is Red One. You guys are all sleeping on Red One. If you didn't see it, you should just at least watch it. I mean, it was a complete fever dream. It's hard to tell if it's trying to be serious or funny. It's just weird. Santa's jacked. there's the polar bear that works that's like a secret service for Santa. I don't know what's happening, but I love it. I think I think you're not going to really understand what's going on with this movie, but you're going to have a good time cuz that's what happened with me. Um and so I think you guys need to go check out Red One. And I don't know what the bad reviews were even looking for. Like what it's kind of hard to give it a bad review because like what even was happening? Like I don't know what they were going for, and they kind of nailed it. I mean, when you don't even know what the point is, it's like how can you miss? There was nothing. It's just like do stuff, Christmas, Jack Santa, Polar Bear, Chris Evans. He has an accent sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't. The Rock is the size of a toddler. Like it's it's stuff. Go watch it. It's entertaining. So yeah, that's the most underrated movie of the year. Moving on to television. The best and worst show of the year. This one I had a little bit more time with. What? More harder time. There we go. I had a little bit of a harder time picking this one because I didn't really watch like barely any new released shows this year, you know. It was mostly like rewatching stuff cuz I rewatch a lot, still trying to watch through SNL, which is quite slow. I completely rewatched in its entirety Lab Rats and Danny Phantom and Young Justice. I believe I finished this year. Okay, wait, that didn't come out this year. I was like, wait, I should have put that there, but it didn't come out this year. But one that I did watch that actually was released this past year. I should stop saying this year. This past year, 2024. Me and my family started watching it, and I wasn't expecting much from it, but it ended up being really entertaining. So I will give the best show of the year award to the show St. Denis Medical. If you don't know what this is, it's a office style, sitcom, but it's a hospital. And I was kind of just expecting like, okay, it's gonna be The Office but a hospital, which is kind of what I just told you. But it's different. It's really funny. It's actually really, really funny. But it's impressing me by not being The Office. It's funny like The Office, but it's very like distinct. They didn't just redo characters from The Office. They're sitcom types and they fall into certain roles, but they're not like just complete copies of the roles that the Office characters filled. So I was very impressed with it. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It ended up being really funny, and we watch it a lot. We're following it. I like the Matt guy, the really young male nurse. If you don't know the show, then just like don't worry about it, okay? Because if you knew the show, it wouldn't sound that weird. So don't worry about it. But anyway, so for the worst show, that was really hard since again, barely watched any 2024 released TV shows, but I caught glimpses of some and I heard about some. So just like very flippantly and not with much knowledge of anything about it, I'm just gonna give the worst show to that new Dora thing that came out. That I saw in an ad on Paramount Plus that apparently came out this year because I looked at it for like the 10 seconds that the ad was on and my childhood died. So that wasn't fun. So childhood murdering Dora, I will say it was the worst show of the year. I assume it was. Again, I didn't see it. I wouldn't have seen it. Even if it looked okay, I wouldn't have seen it. I'm not saying I would have watched it if it looked better. I'm just saying it murdered my childhood. I wouldn't want my 7-year-old self to have watched it, I guess. 7's actually too young. I watched that show for way too long. Anyway, moving on to books, to the Box. So this one again didn't read too many 2024 released books, but I did read a few. And, mostly just rereading and getting, because like a lot of the books I read, if they're not just rereads, they are comics in the timeline of the character that I'm trying to read about that were, obviously released earlier. So, but I did read some books that were released this year. And I'm gonna give the best book award to Tom Taylor's Nightwing run. I believe he completed that in this year, and though I have not read all the books in that series, the ones I have read are absolutely incredible, and it just makes me so happy because it's last year. It's so recent, and comic books have just been really, missing the mark a lot in the like, recently. And Nightwing is one of my favorite characters, and this just like really did him justice, and like uh gave me a little bit more hope for comics. I already like Tom Taylor. He did the All New Wolverine series with X-23. But obviously, writers don't write all good things. So, but he still, like, he really didn't mess with Nightwing's character, did a Nightwing type story, added in a few new things to him that don't bother me too much. And really, really did him justice, I feel like. So that was a great run. Very happy with that. And I hope the next run doesn't just like make him a vampire or something. Like, I don't know. It gets weird, you guys. But Tom Taylor did solid job. So yeah. And then the worst book. Didn't personally read this one again. But I heard quite a bit about it from the adult people around me. um, and I'm gonna give the worst book of 2024 to Unraveled, which is a part of the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. It's just a point 0.5 book, so it's not essential to the series, but I really like this series. But then Shannon Messenger was like, gays! So, that was unfortunate. I probably don't want to read it. Hopefully, she doesn't do that to the finale because I still really like this series and I would like to keep reading it. Um, so, but yeah, disappointed by that. At first, I thought it was just like hyper conservative people going on Amazon and like people are shipping Lynn and Biana together. That means that the series is gay, because like people will do that if they see the fandom like ship two of the same sex characters together. They assume that that's in the book, but like no, that's just people being stupid. And like if two people of the same gender interact in a book, they're like gays, but it's not how it works actually. So yeah, disappointed in that, but hopefully she will fix it. I mean, she can't really fix it, but you know what I mean. All right. I would also like to give a shout out to myself, because this year I finished a book called Out of the Silent Planet. It is not at all released in this year. It's quite old, actually. And I wanted to give it a shout out because I finished it this year, which doesn't seem that important. But I have been reading this book for over a year. This book is 100 pages long, and that's like, I'm not even kidding, maybe like 120. And for some reason, it's taken me over a year to complete this book. I was supposed to read it for school, and that always slows me down when it's assigned for school. I always read those books way slower. But like, and I don't even know, like, I've not finished books from school before. But for some reason, probably because it was so short, I was like, I'm gonna finish this book, whatever. And then, like, a year later, I finished it. And guess what? It was alright. It was fine. I I just like, I don't know why I did this, but um you know, I did it. This was the year. This was my year. Um gosh, it's so long. I don't know why, but I'm done. I did it. So just wanted to pat myself on the back for a second there. Alrighty. Now for the best and worst video game of the year. Again, didn't play a lot of. Actually, this one I did. So I did play more 2024 released video games than like watch TV shows or read books. Definitely not as much as the movies. I watched a lot of movies that were released, but I also played my fair share of video games that were actually released this year. Obviously got Tekken 8, which was incredible, a very close contender for this. Um, and I should have done a full review on this. Maybe I will, but it's been a while and I've played a lot of video games since then. But it's a great game. But ultimately, and it's kind of funny that I'm putting this on here because I've played it for literally 2 days. I got it for Christmas, but it was released this year, and in the 2 days that I've played it, it is absolutely incredible. So I'm gonna give the best game of the year award to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rebirth, or I don't know if that's technically the title, but I mean, like, oh my gosh, I knew it was gonna be great. Obviously, like nobody said anything bad about it. It looks awesome, and I got it for Christmas. So excited! That was an awesome present as well. And I started playing it, and like literally the first shot, I was like, "How does this look like 10,000 times better than my expectations?" It just looks incredible, which I know is so obvious, and yet I was still like blown away by how awesome it looked. Um, and it's so interesting. The story's already like getting all interesting, and I have avoided spoilers for this game, and I am so proud of myself. I hit one teeny tiny little thing that I don't even know what really spoils. It just was a slight little spoiler, but for the most part I completely dodged spoilers for this game, and I'm so proud of myself. So I get to fully experience this game as it should be. And that was so hard, dude. Like, I was avoiding all of the articles, everything that said Final Fantasy on it, just like the plague. And I did it, and I have the game now, and I'm gonna try to push through and not get spoiled before I actually hit the big points in the game. Really hoping Aerith dies. Don't tell me if she does, if you know. But it's incredible already. It just looks so good. And shout out to the game for having a difficulty mode. It's what was it called? Not fluid, but I can't remember the word. But they have a difficulty mode that adjusts to your skill level. It gets harder as you get better, which I think is really cool and something I've actually not seen on a video game before. But just yeah, everything about it is incredible. Played it for 2 days and love it. Absolutely. I'm not gonna quite replace Final Fantasy Remake on my top 5 video games list just yet because of the 2 days things, but yes, I absolutely am confident enough to say that out of the 2024 released video games, this one is the best. And then for the worst one, I played this for 1 day, and I'm like, it feels unfair to say this because it's just not my genre of video games at all. But it was still somehow slightly disappointing. So I gave the worst video game to Marvel Rivals. I don't at all think it's a badly made game, but this is my personal list, and I just can't. I just am so bad at shooters, and it was disappointing because the game really looks cool and all the characters look cool and there's cool less known characters on it, but I tried it and it's a shooter and I don't like it. Even the characters who don't, there's characters who don't actually have to shoot, but like it's still a shooter and I don't like it. And I was sad. I wanted to like it. It was just Fortnite all over again, the X23 skin. But no, shooters, they're just my nemesis. So sorry, Marvel Rivals. Didn't do it for me. Yeah. And finally, the best president of 2024. No, I'm not doing that. I'm kidding. There was only one. There are other jokes I could have made with that though, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna end with something else. So, to end off, maybe not the best way to end this type of show since this does not come from 2024, but I discovered it in 2024, so I'm gonna read it anyway. This was my quote, my personal quote for the year 2024 that sums out what I thought about it, and I also discovered it in this year. So, I will leave you with this. if you're going to be obsessed with something, being obsessed with a series of books or films is pretty good. Some people are obsessed with heroin. Daniel Radcliffe. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to comment and subscribe and like and share and follow and do the thing. Somebody unfollowed me, which was not very kind. So if you could all just follow me to make up for that. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye bye.